It's September the 17th. We're looking at the partially eclipsed harvest moon, supermoon. We're using a 1200 millimeter focal length comprised of a 400 millimeter Nikkor EDIF lens, manual focus lens from the late 1970s, early 1980s. The maximum aperture is at 5.6, but we're stopped down to f8. And we're using a Kenko Teleplus Pro 300 3x teleconverter to bring the focal length up to 1200 millimeters, which means that the actual aperture is more like f22. 50th of a second, ISO 64, Nikon D810 if I'm not mistaken, DSLR. Anything I'm missing here? I don't think so. So yeah, very close to maximum eclipse. Looks like we're getting up near the top of the trajectory of the moon too. 10:42, yeah, a couple more minutes before the eclipse is at its absolute maximum. We've still got a bit of room here in the frame, so I think I will just let this run a bit longer, for at least another minute or so. But again, not terribly exciting, really. Just a little partial eclipse, but a bit more interesting than a penumbral eclipse. In a penumbral eclipse, the umbra, the moon does not enter into the umbra of the Earth, which we see at the top here. So it just gets a little darker, but you don't really notice anything. So at least with this partial lunar eclipse, you do see that the upper part of the moon is quite a bit darker than the rest. So, penumbral eclipses, as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty much nothing burgers. You don't waste much time taking photos or videos of them. 10:43, Tuesday, September 17th. So very near maximum eclipse, if we haven't already passed it, which is not impossible. We're going to end this clip in just a few seconds because we're getting right up the top of the frame and the far right of the frame as well. Whoops-a-daisy. I thought I had ended the clip, but I guess I didn't. So sorry about the humming there. A little bit of a habit I have. We'll just let this run, I guess. Just tighten things up a bit. What do we do? What do we do? I mean, the moon will rise up through the frame soon enough. Maybe we'll just let that happen. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, I am a bit sleep deprived. Didn't get much sleep at all last night, and didn't sleep all that well in previous nights, and already was a bit sleep deprived, getting 4, 5, and maybe 6 hours of sleep a night. And it catches up after a while, and one got a slightly, excuse me, can you yawn? Okay, so there we go. The moon is fully into the frame here, very close to center. It'll rise up towards the right. So if the information I've been given is correct, we're already past the maximum partial eclipse. It should have been at 10:44. It's now 10:45. But again, I'm not really sure just how accurate these times provided are. We will let the moon run up through the frame here for a few more minutes, but we should be near the maximum point, if not past the max. I think it's actually shrinking now that I do believe that we're getting less of a shadow there at the top of the frame. So I do believe the moon is moving out of the Earth's umbra slowly. So we're post the maximum part of the eclipse. So I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I'm using a 400 millimeter Nikkor EDIF manual focus lens from the late 1970s, early 1980s. I don't know exactly when this one was made, but a manual focus, full metal glass lens. I don't think there's much plastic involved in it. It's stopped down to f8. Its maximum aperture is f5.6, so fairly modest maximum aperture. But the nice thing is it's a fairly compact lens. If you go to bigger apertures, much bigger, fatter lenses. So this is something you can throw in a backpack and bring with you easily enough. So getting over to the right of the frame, ISO 64, 50th of a second shutter speed. What other information? We had the lens, as I said, stopped down to f8, which in real terms is f22, with the 3x teleconverter, which happens to be a Kenko Teleplus Pro 300 3x teleconverter, and that's as much as I can say.